Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome back in to another episode of Astros Recap Postseason Edition. As most of you guys are aware, the Astros did beat the A's to move on to the ALCS. Pretty unbelievable, but here we are. I know nobody wants us here, but so sad, too bad, so sad. We're here. I don't care what everybody else thinks. But anyway, I will talk about the games. They will be playing the Tampa Bay Rays, just sort of set the stage here. I'll spend about half of this Astros recap, recapping the series, but I also want to give you a preview of the upcoming series. As I just mentioned, the Tampa Bay Rays did knock off the New York Yankees. A lot of us, I think, in Houston wanted to play the Yankees, but we beat them. We have beaten the Yankees enough to not really care about whether we play them or not. So, who cares, really? And actually, I sort of think the Rays might be an easier matchup, which I will talk about in a little bit. Not easy, but I just think that they'd actually have a better chance at beating the Rays than they would the Yankees, which I will talk about here in a little bit. But they beat the A's in 4 games. Story of this series was really the offense. So, I mean, it finally broke out for basically the first time all year. Really couldn't find any sustained offensive outbursts during the regular season. Finally get one in this series. For the most part, that is. I mean, they scored 10 runs in Game 1. They scored 11 in Game 4. So to open and cap off the series, there were big offensive outbursts. They only scored 5 runs in a win in Game 2. They scored 7 in a loss in Game 3. So if you just do the math, 21, 26... What's 26 plus 7? Is that 33 runs, I believe? 33 runs in 4 games? Yeah, I'd qualify that as an offensive outburst. The A's also, I mean, the ball was flying out of Dodger Stadium. It's something about playing day baseball. But if you got the ball up in the air in medium deep outfield, it seemed like every ball was going into the seats as home runs. So, you know, that had something to do with the offensive outburst, I would say, and that's not going to be the case now moving to Petco Park in San Diego, which isn't really known for a hitter's haven there. They do have sort of short sort of jet out there in right field, but hitting home runs into left or center in the power alleys really isn't easy there. So, but we'll wait and see here. I mean, they got some sort of night. They have a night game tomorrow, and they play like at 3 on Monday. And the Dodgers are going to get that prime time slot, and since there are no off days with 7 straight games, you're probably going to see the Astros have more of the afternoon sort of portion of the schedule, which it really doesn't bother me, I guess. I mean, for me, I work right now. Like, my schedule next week, I have 2 days, well, 3 days actually, depending on how long the series goes. But I have to work till after 9 on Monday, after 9 on Wednesday, until 7 on Friday. I also work Tuesday and Thursday at Minute Maid Park, but I should get off in time for those games. But I don't know if the schedule necessarily is going to shake out. I do know the schedule for Game 1 tomorrow, which I will be able to watch, will be at 6:30, I believe, and then on Monday it's going to be on at 3, and I'll be at work for that, so I'll try to find some way to rig it up. I'll pull it up on the phone. I've already downloaded the TBS app, which allows me to watch live coverage of whatever that channel's showing, so I'll have that up, and hopefully I don't get in trouble if I get caught with it, but these are big games. I'm not going to chance missing them. Plus, I've gotten in trouble at Whole Foods like 1,000 times at this point. So really, I mean, anything else they want to get mad at me for is just like, I mean, the damage has already been done. So really, I mean, what else worse could actually happen? I guess if they kick me out and say you're fired. But I've already made like 1,000 mistakes. So it's you know, it wouldn't be like breaking news if I did something wrong. Anyway. Getting a little off topic, going in a different direction there. But anyway, Astros do win in 4. This was also important, just to go back to what I was just talking about. If they had played a game 5, I would have missed it. I would have been at work. Again, I would have found a way to rig it up, but I would have missed the game. Uh, I mean, even when I'm at work and I have the game up, like I can't just sit there and like watch it for hours on end. I have to sort of still be doing my job in some capacity. But yeah, so in game 1, I actually went to a brewing, Carbach Brewing for this game with a friend Keegan, who has actually been on these podcasts. If you go way back, did a few podcasts with Keegan, but he was begging me to go. Didn't want to go. For playoff games, I like to be on my couch in front of my big screen TV and hear every word and everything. It actually wasn't bad. Like, the sound was good. It was a big screen TV. We sat out in like sort of the lawn area, had a pizza, watched the game. Overall, it was good, and they won. So a lot of good things there. But they actually got off. I'll pull up my phone. Obviously, I'll need to do most of that. But just to get started, so they don't get off to a great start. Lance McCullers gets the ball here in game 1 and did not pitch well. Surprise, surprise. Road game, didn't pitch well. I mean, that's just who Lance McCullers is at this point. I think that we should just all learn to accept that he's not a good pitcher on the road. In fact, he's way below average on the road. He's not even decent on the road. And, with no days off, you sort of have to just let him sink or swim because, anyway, they won the game, so you can't get that upset. But he gave up 5 runs. I don't know. He wasn't good. We were down early, 3-0 right out of the gate, and it was just early on. It felt like, well, we're lucky to be here, I guess. So if we lose this game and lose, whatever. I mean, but yeah, we were down 3-0 early on, and we came back to tie it as Chris Davis hit a 2-run home run in the second. Sean Murphy also hit one in the bottom half of the third. And then Bregman hit a solo shot to get us on the board. And then Correa hit a 2-run shot to tie it. But then Lance McCullers gives up the lead. He just fought back to tie it at 3, and then he gives up a solo home run to Olsen. And Mark Cannon hit a sac fly to make it 5-3 Oakland, and then it was all us from there on out. But, one of the things we talk about, the A's bullpen, people like Joakim Soria, Jake Diekman, J.B. Wendelken. There's a few others I'm forgetting. Yasmir Petit, and obviously their closer, Liam Hendricks. That sort of bullpen had been the best in baseball all year. Just if you were to go down the categories, pitching like ERA, strikeouts, I said ERA, right? WHIP or whatever really category you want to put up there, the pitching, they were basically number 1 in the league. It wasn't really, and we actually hit off them. Springer hits a double to score a run off of Wendelken at this point. Altuve does the same RBI single, actually 2-run single for Altuve. Brantley gets an RBI single off Diekman. Correa hits a home run off Lou Trevino, another guy I forgot. And yeah, Correa had 2 home runs in this game, but the offense broke out in a big way. All the big hitters you'd expect basically came through. Even Altuve, who's ERA in the low 200s for the majority of the year. Well, for the entire year, I guess. But yeah, offense broke out. So Lance McCullers' bad start didn't really hurt him that much. But let's see his box score if I can pull it up. So only 4 innings, but 8 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned. Struck out 5, walked a hitter, ERA at 9. Started over there. Blake Taylor got an inning. He actually got the win in this game. Paredes, 2 innings. Enoli Paredes, a guy I've talked about who sometimes I feel like can have trouble finding the strike zone, which is not good for a reliever, especially of his caliber. Coming in like the 7th, 8th innings, you don't want leadoff walks, leadoff base runners, period. But he's been good. Two innings, no hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts. He looked fantastic. Javier got an inning in, and then Presley finished it off. So that was that. Lance McCullers really only gave up all the runs in this game, but the offense really took over, and we won this game on on them, basically. The offense carried them through this first game. Second game, Framber Valdez, been great. He was great. Again, stretched out like he should be, like most of the other starters should be. I feel like Dusty Baker still babies Zach Greinke, which I don't understand. Jose Urquidy, we'll see. Lance McCullers, I understand you babying him for two reasons. One, he's coming off Tommy John. Two, he just stinks on the road. So there's two reasons why you'd sort of baby him. But let Greinke pitch game 4, which they won. Wasn't great, but well, we'll see his line here in a minute. But they do win game 2, 5-2. But yeah, Valdez was really the story here. As he went 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, struck out 4, walked a hitter. Did give up 2 home runs. Only 2 runs he allowed. They were both solo shots. Like I said, the ball was flying out of the yard here at Dodger Stadium. But he was good. Paredes again comes in, scoreless inning, and then Presley gets the save there. So Springer had 2 home runs, so he was the big one there. But other than that, it was sort of we hit. I'll just give you the home run update. I'm not going to go through the runs here. I wanted to sort of make this part sort of short because I want to spend half this podcast previewing the Tampa Bay series. Shamanaya got the loss. We hit off him pretty well. By the way, in game 1, it was Chris Bassett, who we also hit pretty well. But let's go back to, let's see here if I can get back to where I was. I don't know where it tells you. I'm not even going to get into this if I can't find this easily. I don't think I can. They're making this difficult. Usually there's like an icon where it's like highlighted who hit home runs. And there were home runs everywhere in this game. Alright, we'll do this. So, Davis hit another home run. Springer had one. Chad Pinder had a home run. Martin Maldonado had a home run. Springer had his second home run. So, I mean, there was like 25 home runs at the end of the series, and it was only 4 games. But like I said, if you get the ball medium deep to the outfield and got enough air under it, it was going to fly out of here. But 5-2, game wasn't too stressful, I guess. Game 3 certainly was. A game they should have won, if you ask me, because they were up in this game 7-4 after being down. They were down like 4-2, 4-1. I'll look at this phone again, but I'm not going to spend too much time here. But game 3 scared me big time because it showed if we don't have our bullpen rested the way we'd like, you're going to have to use other people that really suck. That's the nicest way I could sort of put that. But we were down in this game 4-2, and we broke out with a 5-run fifth to make it 7-4. And at this point, you're feeling good. So you know who got the start was Urquidy in this game, who was not very good, to be honest with you. He went 4 1/3, 4 earned runs, but gave up 4 solo home runs. Blake Taylor got the final out of that 5th inning, but he did walk 2 guys, had the bases loaded, but got out of it. But we were up 7-4, and then Josh James actually got through an inning, in which I think he walked the leadoff batter, which you were like, oh God, here we go, Josh James, nothing's changed, he's been terrible. But he got a double play, he got out of it, but Dusty Baker decides to bring him back out. I believe this is the 7th inning at this point. Let me double check that. Yes, 7th inning, and it's single, 3-run home run the other way, and just like that it's tied. And think you're sort of pushing your luck with Josh James. This is a guy, Josh James, a guy who came in 2018 was his first season. And he showed some promise because he can rush it up there, 100 miles, Big Flames James, what they call him. Now they call him Up in Flames James. I'll give credit. Whoever said that on Twitter was smart because I'll start using that. I don't want to take your credit there. I won't credit myself, but Up in Flames James is sort of his new nickname. Guy who came in 2018 showed some promise. So you're thinking, all right, here we go. 19 wasn't very good. He was supposed to be a starter, I believe, in spring training, but he dealt with an injury which took him out of the competition to be a starter. He stayed in the bullpen for the majority of the year. Had some games where he was okay, but never really. I kept waiting on James to take the next step, whether it's being a starter or whether it's being a quality sort of setup reliever. He hasn't been able to do it, and it's been like this for 3 years. So I've given up on James. He was bad as a starter. In fact, he only lasted like 1 or 2 times around the rotation this year. They shipped him to the bullpen. He's the same guy. He's just not good. So Josh James is a disaster if you use him any part of this series. You're playing with fire. So he was, yeah. You got lucky to get an inning out of him. Sending him back out was pretty bad. And Dusty sort of let him sink or swim because you could have taken him out after the first base hit or the second base hit, but he allowed that, and then he allowed the 3-run home run, and that sort of gave the A's the first momentum they ever had in this series because we were up 2-0 at the point. We were leading this game, and yeah. Then you go to Brooks Raley, who Dusty Baker seems to love. I don't like Brooks Raley. There's just something. I don't think he's that good. I really don't think he's been that good. In fact, there's a bunch of other people that I would have rather have gone to. Blake Taylor was already used, so I can understand that. A guy I liked this year that they didn't stick with was CNL Perez as a lefty. Like I liked what I saw from him this year. I didn't think he was that bad. Like I would prefer him over Brooks Raley. But Braley actually gets out of the inning that Josh James gave up 3 runs in. And then again, Dusty Baker says, go back out there for the next inning. He runs into trouble. He walks a few hitters, gives up 2 sacrifice flies. And now the A's lead 9-7. Liam Hendricks, who hadn't pitched in the series, pitched 3 innings in this game to close it out, throwing almost 40 pitches. But when you're down to an elimination game and playing for your season, obviously that didn't surprise me one bit. But that game scared me big time. Just because the A's now, the series sort of swung in their they had the momentum. Obviously the Astros were still leading the series 2-1. But, after doing that, seeing how bad the bullpen was in that situation, scared you not only for, obviously, so in a perfect world, when you look at your bullpen right now, Andre Scrub will not be used as a part of your. He'll probably be using the series at some point because you can't run the same guys out there, but they do not have depth in their bullpen. And you're about to get into a 7-game series where you can't run. Obviously you're playing for your season, so you're going to have to overwork these guys, but it's basically Blake Taylor, Enoli Paredes, and Ryan Presley are the only 3 guys in this bullpen I trust. They are going to add some people. Oh, Christian Javier's another guy I forgot. Javier piggybacked off of, in game, he was another option that actually could go multiple innings because he was a starter for most of the year. Obviously, he'll have to slide into a starting spot for this next series, but he was big in not only the Minnesota series, but this one as well, coming out of the bullpen and going multiple innings to eat up innings for us. So Javier is the other guy, but he's not going to be used, obviously, as a reliever in this next series. So thought about putting my glasses on there. I won't do that. But yeah, so, when I look at, like I said, it's basically 3 guys that I trust in that bullpen. They're going to add some relievers because I think the rosters will expand a little bit here. I would take, was it Matt McCormick? Is that his name? That's an outfielder that didn't play a single, game the entire year, and you put him on the playoff roster, which I thought was weird to begin with. By the way, Josh Reddick's, well, we've known this forever. He's a waste of time. He had a big key at bat with runners on second and third to try to tie it. Dude struck out, and like Josh Reddick usually does, throws a little temper tantrum. This time he slammed the bat down and then broke it over his leg, which, dude, he's just... So Aledmys Diaz, who played Game 3, right? Yeah, wait. Or was that Game 2? Diaz might have been in Game 2. I don't understand what... I like Dusty Baker, don't get me wrong. You're killing yourself if not only do you use Josh Reddick as a hitter, but you use him as your DH. That's insane to me. Why would you even think about, like, Diaz is much better, can make contact, put the ball in play. Reddick fouls pitches off that are right down the middle, and then he's an easy out. It's been this way for the last 2.5 years. He doesn't change. He's the same terrible, you're lucky to be a 220 hitter, hit 5 home runs. Now, you do play good defense, so I will give you that, okay? Sort of, kind of. You had a few bad, terrible throws to home plate this year that I remember. But you did rob a home run in Game 4, but that doesn't fix your big issue at the plate. So I wish Dusty Baker would listen to these podcasts. I don't get a lot of views, but I wish someone could forward this podcast to Dusty Baker and say, do not use Josh Reddick at all for the rest of this postseason. Period. End of story. Because he's just a nightmare at the plate. And you have Tucker, who can play left or right. You'll have Springer in center. And then you have Brantley playing one of the corner outfield spots as well. So why would you even need to use Reddick? And as a DH is just utterly ridiculous to me. Utterly ridiculous. Use Aledmys Diaz. Okay? Guy who's been hurt, but a guy that actually puts the bat on the ball. He had a big home run in Game 3, I believe it was. Game 3. Yeah, Game 3 sounds right. But I am so done with Josh Reddick. I'm just so done with him. He is just so terrible. I mean, I always construct a list. It's an imaginary list every year where I write names down of players I can't stand. Reddick's been on that list ever since the 2017 World Series because he's been terrible. Josh James is on that list. Rondon was on that list. Marwin Gonzalez was on that list. But Josh Reddick, Josh James, and if Brooks really doesn't get his act together, he'll also be on that list. There's a few other guys that I can't think of off the top of my head. But yeah, it's terrible. He's just... I'm sick of his act. I'm sick of him not hitting. I'm sick of him striking out. I'm sick of him throwing his temper tantrum. So everything that Josh Reddick is, I'm sick of it. I'm just, golly, just throw up. It makes me want to throw up watching him. He's so bad, so bad. That was a bad signing. Bad signing. Only time he was ever good, his very first year in 2017, he hit .314 during the regular season. With no power. Didn't possess any power. Since then, he's been just an absolute embarrassment to the team. Outfield, he's not bad, but again, I'm looking for the right word, but the outfield doesn't outweigh his hitting. His hitting's just horrendous. So there's my little rant on Josh Reddick for you. I should be happy, right? Because the Astros are in the league championship series. I just had to get that off my chest there. But yeah, like I said, he struck out. No surprise there in a key spot to try to tie the game with a base hit. Or just extend the inning because Springer was on deck. And Springer, who owns Dodger Stadium, probably comes through or at least puts the bat on the ball, puts it in play, makes the defenders actually work to get out of that inning. But yeah, Josh Reddick struck out, no surprise. Fouled a pitch back that was right down the middle, probably his one to hit. Missed his one to hit like he's done all year. Strikes out, slams the bat down, doesn't break it then, but then he breaks it over his leg, and yeah, he's probably thrown his helmet and doing all this stuff. Like, dude, like, when is he going to come to the realization that he's not that good? Like, you're just you're killing yourself if you get upset every time you get out, which is basically 90% of the time. Like, I don't get it, dude. Like, you're not good. Just accept the fact that you're not good. I'm sorry. I've gone too long there. But that game scared me because the people that were shaky that you didn't know what you were going to get did not prove themselves. And it may just sort of... I mean, the A's were feeling probably unstoppable at that time. Like, they're down in the series, but we just scored 5 runs, and we were down 3 with our season on the line. They had to feel pretty good about themselves. You go into Game 4, and one of the phrases I used continuously after Game 3 that I told myself, the Astros, got to turn the page. Got to forget yesterday, come out fresh start. This Game 4 didn't get off to a good start. I mean, they were down 3. Laureano hit a home run off Greinke to make it 3-0. By the way, Greinke didn't start till Game 4. Part of the reason there is he was dealing with elbow soreness. But if he's good enough to go in Game 4, they're going to need Greinke, and they're going to need Greinke to pitch well. So they're going to need a lot of starters to pitch well in the series with the Rays. But we broke out with the bats again. Big 2-run home run by Brantley, who had 2 home runs in Game 5. So yeah, Correa had a multi-home run in Game 1, Springer in Game 2, and Brantley in Game 5. Correa had a big 3-run home run to give him the lead. Altuve hit a home run. Just the offense contributing in every way. Big 2-out, timely hits. So Game 5, it was more offense. They won that 11-6. Presley did come in, was not very sharp. He's been sort of hit or miss this year, but like you're gonna live or die with Ryan Presley as your closer. You really have nobody else. But if we're in close 1-run games, I mean you're gonna have to go with Presley. That's your option. You have to do it. I just hope that it'll work out in this next series if the opportunity is presented there, or he's got to come in to close a game. So. But yeah, so they win the series 3-1. So now they'll play the Rays. So we'll sort of switch to sort of the preview here. Rays beat the Yankees in 5 games. They did lose Game 1. Came back, won Game 2 and 3. Lost Game 4, won Game 5. I did say I think the Rays is a better matchup simply for this reason. The Astros pitching scares me. The Yankees have a better lineup than Tampa Bay. That's the main reason I'll say that. It'll be interesting to see if the Astros hitters can keep it up. Of course, they'll be facing, well, I think from a starting pitcher standpoint, yes, Tampa Bay is better than Oakland in that regard. Bullpen-wise, even though Oakland's bullpen is good, Tampa Bay has all these relievers, and they just seem to get the job done. Like, I think most fans of baseball probably know Nick Anderson, Diego Castillo. Of course, they let go of Emilio Pagan, who now pitches for the Padres, who got eliminated. That's neither here nor there, but and then Peter Fairbanks is a guy I just learned of. Like, I will probably learn of a few pitchers in the series out of that Rays bullpen that I have no idea who existed, who probably get big outs at some point, because that's what the Rays do. It just, Kevin Cash, James Click might have been a part of this, bringing in these no-name pitchers that seem to make a huge difference. So obviously the 3 starters they have with Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, and Charlie Morton. And then they have their variety of like 5 or 6 different relievers that seem to get the job done for them every single day in, day out. So, but the sole reason I think that this is probably an easier matchup, Rays were 40-20 regular season, best record, deserved it. We knocked them out of the playoffs last year, but they gave us everything we could handle in the first round. Yeah, so I mean, it'll be interesting to see if our hitters could hit their good pitching. And, yeah, I mean, when you look at their offense as a whole, there's no, like, one single player. They had this one, I can't even say his name. I'm not even going to try. But there was one guy who was really big for him in the Yankees series. Austin Meadows, Willie Adames, Yandy Diaz, G-Man Choi, Mike Zunino, Kevin Kiermaier. That's sort of all I can name when it comes to the Rays offensively. But they find a way to score enough runs and then rely on their bullpen to get the job done. It'll be an interesting series. Obviously, the Astros and their pitching scares me. Hopefully, the hitting can keep it up. It'll be tougher with tougher pitchers, I think. But we'll see. But all in all, the Astros, I think I said this on the podcast at one point early on in the season. My goal for the Astros this year was to get to the American League Championship Series. Obviously, that looked like a long shot, but it's come true. They're here. The world hates it. That's what makes this sweeter. I love how the Astros are winning, and like the world hates it. And I don't care if people think we're cheaters. I'm done with that. Like I'm done worrying about and watching videos of, the Astros. It was kind of like I kind of wanted to see how the season would turn out if there were fans and how bad it would get. And I remember telling myself, listen, like as long as they win, I don't care about the fans. I don't care about the chants. I don't care about, if pitchers want to throw at the Astros' heads. Joe Kelly was really the only one to actually do it, like intentionally. But I didn't really care. But they didn't win. They were 29-31. So Rob Manfred, who probably doesn't like the Astros either, because they've hurt the game of baseball, I guess. But he's the one who decided to expand the playoffs. So you don't expand the playoffs, the Astros don't even sniff a postseason spot. But you decided to do that. You gave them a chance, and now they're beating teams left and right, and the offense has come alive, and they're telling the rest of the world to just screw off. So yeah, basically that's what's going on here. Interesting series with the Rays. Obviously, the Yankees-Astros series would be more, more of I think the ratings would be higher if it was the Yankees-Astros than what it is now. But the Rays deserve to be here. They were the best team. They deserve a lot of credit for the way Kevin Cash, the way they can pitch, the way they get their hits, the way they win games. In this day and age, it's all about your bullpen. If you have 4 or 5 guys, I mean the Royals won a World Series on their big bullpen when it was Kelvin Herrera, Wade Davis, and Greg Holland, and then you throw a few extra guys in there and get you outs. I mean that's what today's day and age in baseball is like. If you have a good bullpen and you can shorten games to 4 or 5 innings, you're gonna have a good chance to win. So we'll see how things go. Be interesting. Interesting series. The longer the series goes, the more it will favor Tampa Bay, just because they have more depth, of course, in the Astros. So I think it's important for the Astros to win a few games early on, like 2 out of 3. Obviously, game 1, you'll have your people rested. It will be Valdez in game 1. It will be McCullers in game 2, and then we'll go from there. I'm a little upset that I won't be able to watch every game the way I would like. I will be able to watch game 1 tomorrow, but game 2 will be an issue. Game 3 I should be able to watch. It'll be like every other game, but they have 7 straight games. So someone in that bullpen is going to have to step up other than a Paredes. Javier, who came out of the bullpen, will be moved into the rotation. You're going to have 4 starters, and then you're going to have people that pitch on short rests is basically how this is going to work. So, but if you're in a position where you can't use, they're going to add a pitcher. Luis Garcia might be a long reliever that they put in the bullpen that could get a few innings maybe. Cianel Perez, I think, will be on this team as well. The Rays do have a lot of left-handed hitters, so adding that extra lefty I think is important. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's 2020. It's 2020. So obviously the Rays are favored, as they should be, but it's 2020. Nothing makes sense this year. So let's go Astros. They've done what I hope they do, which is get fourth straight ALCS appearance. But, I mean, obviously I'm not going to be terribly upset if they lose this series. Of course, I want them to win. But if they were to lose, I'll come up here and say, well, this is what I expected. I expected them to be here, and I expected them to ultimately lose. But yeah, sort of monotone here at the end. But yeah, this has actually been a long podcast for only 4 games, but I went into some detail there. And the whole Josh Reddick rant took about 5 minutes off the time here. Anyway, it is 11 o'clock right now. It is Saturday night, so this actually isn't even my regular night. You'll be watching this at a different time, obviously, but Saturday night, got NFL football tomorrow, but I'll be dead locked in at 6:30, ready to watch Astros baseball. So, in Game 1 of this series, so super excited. Excited when the playoffs started. Excited after they beat the A's. Excited after they beat the Twins. And hopefully more excitement after this series as well, and as the series goes on. The only disappointing part is the fact that I won't be able to watch all of these games the way I'd usually do it. But, yeah, wrap things up there. If I left anything out, please leave that in the comment section below. But like this video, share it with your friends, or just watch it. Watch previous videos if you want to sort of go back in time a little bit. But I'll be back talking to you. It being 7 straight days here, I probably won't have time to get on. Maybe I can. We'll see sort of how things shake out if there's a big game. In fact, I thought about getting on after Game 3 because that sort of scared me, that game, a little bit. But coming back in Game 4 was big. So, but yeah, obviously, if I were to get on every day and talk about each game, like, it'd be easier because it's like fresh in my mind, like go back and who pitched who and who scored, and I could give you everything. I have to use my phone to actually like re-jog my memory for a lot. But I'll get on. We'll recap the series. Hopefully it goes well. Because I mean you're 4 wins away from going to a second straight World Series in 3 and 4 years. So obviously that's the goal, and it's 2020. It's 2020. Yeah. Anyway, all that good stuff on YouTube. And yes, this is David Artist signing off, and we will talk to you hopefully in a happy mood. But whenever that is, probably sometime next weekend, maybe as early as Friday. We'll wait and see. But yeah, all that good stuff on YouTube, and we'll talk to you then.